Before we get into today's video, if you haven't subscribed yet, do it right now. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. We publish practical financial content every week that you genuinely don't want to miss. Now, let me ask you something that most financial channels will never ask you. What if the reason you're not building wealth has nothing to do with your income? What if it has nothing to do with the stock market, inflation, interest rates, or any external factor that everyone loves to blame? What if the real obstacle is invisible, and it's sitting inside your own home right now? Here's a pattern that plays out for millions of people, and chances are you've lived some version of it. You get a raise. Life feels great for about 3 weeks. Then, almost without noticing, your spending quietly expands to match your new income. New phone, nicer car, better apartment, gym membership you use twice a month, streaming subscriptions you forgot you signed up for, clothes you bought for a version of yourself that never quite materialized, and somehow, at the end of every month, despite earning more than ever before, the number in your savings account looks exactly the same. That pattern has a name. Economists call it lifestyle inflation. Behavioral psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill. But in plain terms, it's this: the more you earn, the more you spend, and your sense of enough keeps moving just far enough ahead of you that you never quite catch it. The conventional financial advice, budget harder, cut lattes, track every dollar, treats the symptoms without addressing the disease. Because the real problem isn't that you don't know how to count money. The real problem is a relationship with consumption that was never examined, never challenged, and never given a clear definition of what enough actually looks like for you personally. That's what this video is about. Not deprivation, not extreme frugality, not living out of a backpack and refusing to enjoy your life. This is about 10 precise minimalist money rules that fundamentally change how you think about spending, owning, and building real, lasting wealth. These rules aren't theoretical. They are practical mental frameworks used by people who have genuinely figured out how to stop running on that treadmill and start building something that actually grows. Stay with me until the end, because rule number 8 especially tends to change the way people think about money in a way that sticks. Let's get into it. The first rule is to calculate cost per use before you buy anything significant. Most people evaluate a purchase by its price tag. Minimalist thinkers evaluate it by its actual cost, relative to how many times it will realistically be used. Divide the price by the number of times you'll genuinely use it, and you have the real cost of that item. An expensive jacket, worn every single day for 3 years, has a cost per use of almost nothing. A cheap kitchen gadget used twice and then forgotten costs you full price, twice a year indefinitely, in the space it takes up and the mental energy it consumes. That shift in thinking alone eliminates a significant percentage of impulse purchases. The second rule is what we call the substitution test. Walk through your home and look at your belongings with one simple question in mind. If this item disappeared today, would I spend money to replace it? If the answer is no, that item is no longer adding value to your life. It's just consuming space, visual energy, and the low-level mental load that comes from owning things you don't actually need. This test is not about minimalism for aesthetics. It's about being ruthlessly honest about what you actually value versus what you accumulated by habit. The third rule is to never upgrade out of boredom. Replacing a perfectly functional phone because a new model came out, or trading in a reliable car because a newer version exists, is wealth destruction dressed up as progress. The marketing industry is extraordinarily good at making you feel that your current, functional possessions are somehow inadequate. The truth is that the gap in performance between your current device and the new one is almost always smaller than the gap in your bank account after the purchase. Ask yourself honestly, am I upgrading because something is broken or because I'm bored? The fourth rule is to create friction for spending and remove friction for saving. Human behavior reliably follows the path of least resistance, so engineer your financial environment accordingly. Delete shopping apps from your phone. Do not save your credit card information on retail websites. Apply a 24-hour waiting rule to any non-essential purchase. If you still want it the next day, it might be worth buying. Meanwhile, automate your savings and investments so they happen before you ever see the money. Make the wealth-building path frictionless and make the impulse spending path difficult. The fifth rule is to count your possessions regularly. This sounds simple, almost trivial, but it works in a way that surprises people. Most of us dramatically underestimate what we own. Knowing that you already have 17 shirts or 8 pairs of shoes makes it psychologically harder to buy the 19th shirt or the 9th pair of shoes. That awareness acts as a natural brake against lifestyle expansion. You don't need a philosophy to spend less. Sometimes you just need to look at what you already have. The sixth rule is to rent or borrow before you buy. We've all done it. Gotten excited about a new hobby, bought all the equipment, and then abandoned it 6 weeks later. Your home becomes a museum of abandoned enthusiasms. Before committing to purchase, rent the equipment or borrow it from someone. If the interest holds for a month, buy it. This simple rule saves enormous amounts of money and prevents the accumulation of items that quietly drain your energy every time you see them gathering dust. The seventh rule is to understand what we call the lifestyle multiplier effect. Large purchases rarely arrive alone. When you buy a boat, you also need a trailer, marina fees, insurance, maintenance, and fuel. When you buy a larger home, you need more furniture, higher utility bills, more cleaning time, and higher property taxes. Before any major purchase, calculate not just the sticker price, but the full ecosystem of costs that will follow it. The real cost of most big purchases is 2 to 3 times what people expect when they make the decision. The eighth rule, and this one is genuinely important, is to define your enough before your income increases. Without a clear personal definition of what a comfortable and satisfying life looks like for you, every salary increase will simply be consumed by lifestyle inflation. But when you know you're enough, the specific income level at which your life is genuinely comfortable, every dollar above that threshold can go directly toward building financial freedom. This is how people with moderate incomes retire early and comfortably, while high earners with no defined enough are still stressed about money in their 50s. Define it now, while you still have time to benefit from it. The ninth rule is to measure wealth by optionality, not by accumulation. Real wealth is not visible in the car you drive or the size of your home. Real wealth is visible in the choices you have the freedom to make. The freedom to leave a toxic job without panic. The freedom to take 3 months off and spend time with your family. The freedom to start a business, move to a different city, or simply say no to things that don't align with your life. Wealth tied up in physical possessions reduces your options. Wealth held in savings, investments, and liquid assets expands them. Measure your financial progress by how many real choices you have, not by how much you own. The 10th rule is to practice cyclical decluttering, but do it small and often. The once-a-year grand purge sounds productive, but rarely works long-term. You declutter, feel great, and then slowly reaccumulate until the next year's purge. Instead, build a habit of small, regular evaluations, weekly or monthly. Spend 15 minutes every Sunday reviewing what came into your life that week and whether it earned its place. Catch the drift before it becomes a flood. This consistent awareness prevents the invisible accumulation of both physical clutter and the financial drain that comes with it. Here's the thing that ties all 10 of these rules together. Financial minimalism is not about suffering. It is not about denying yourself good experiences or living a diminished life. It is about spending fully and intentionally on the things that genuinely matter to you and completely eliminating the spending that doesn't. When you stop financing a lifestyle built on habit and social comparison, you free up enormous resources, and those resources, redirected consistently over time, are exactly what transforms income into independence. If this perspective resonated with you, please hit the like button. It genuinely helps this content reach more people who need to hear it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment below telling me which of these 10 rules surprised you most. We read every comment and we respond. See you in the next one.